This is Into Math for Second Grade, Module 18, Lesson 4. Make line plots to show measurement data. I can measure the length of objects in inches and show the data on a line plot. Please gather your workbook and a pencil and turn to page 444. You can always pause along the way as needed. We will begin under Build Understanding. Eric's class measured worms and recorded the data in a table. Eric started to make a line plot to show the data about the lengths of the worms. Complete the line plot to show the data. Okay, so here we have this table that his class recorded. It's the lengths of the worms, and there's 6 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches, 6 inches, and 3 inches. And then over here, we see he started the line plot. And what is a line plot? Well, let's take a look at the connective vocabulary. A line plot shows data on a number line. So here he has started a number line. And what is this data? It's the length of worms in inches, just like we have over here. So Eric created a number line, starting with 1 and ending with 6. I think he ended with 6 because when he looked at this data, he saw that the biggest number was 6, so he's decided to stop there. Let's take a look at part A. Which lengths from the table are already shown on the line plot? Circle them in the table. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm seeing that there is 1, 3 here, so I'm going to go ahead and circle 3 inches. Next, I see there is 1x by 5, so I'm going to go ahead and circle the 5 inches. Then I see that there is 1x for 6 inches. I show that there are actually 2 here, so I'm just going to circle 1. Okay, all of the items that are circled have been recorded on the line plot. The ones that aren't circled, Eric didn't put on the line plot. Okay, we can answer part B. Which lengths are missing from the line plot? We can answer 4 inches and the other 6 inches. Now let's take a look at part C. How can you show these lengths on the line plot? Well, how did he show the ones that are circled? He made an X for those ones. So we can answer, I can make an X over the 4 and another X over the 6. And then I can complete the line plot. So I'm going to go ahead and do exactly what I said I was going to do. I'm going to put an X over the 4 and another X over the 6. Now I have completed the line plot. Let's take a look at the next page, page 445 under Step It Out. Some birds use yarn to build their nest. To help, people may put out a bird feeder filled with small pieces of yarn. Make a line plot to show lengths of yarn for a bird feeder. Part A asks us to measure 5 pieces of yarn with an inch ruler and record the lengths in the table. So you may want to pause and do this part on your own. I'm going to go ahead and fill in the lengths of my yarn pieces, which may be different from yours in this table called lengths of yarn. You can pause and do this and come back, or you can follow along with me. Here are the lengths that I have written in: 7 inches, 5 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches, and 7 inches. Now I'm going to look at part B. Write a title for the line plot. Think, what did I measure? So remember, I gave you a hint last time. What we're looking at is what's the label of the data, which was lengths of yarn. So what did we measure? We measured lengths of yarn. So right here under the line plot, we're going to write the title. We write the title below the line plot because that tells whoever is looking at the line plot what this information is about. Just like the top of this table tells us exactly what we're going to be looking at. We're looking at lengths of yarn, just like we're looking at lengths of yarn in our line plot. All right, we're ready for part C. Label the line plot with numbers for the lengths. What number should I start with? Let's look at the think. Start with the smallest measurement. Well, if I look at my table, I'm going to look at all of these numbers and look for the smallest one. Do you see it? That's right. It is number 5. So we're going to put 5 here, and then we're going to just increase by 1. 6, 7, 8, 9, and we know 9 is the biggest number on our table, so that's where we can stop. Okay, great. So our last part asks us to draw an X on the line plot for each measurement. That's a really important part of this, each measurement. Because if we see 2 7s and we just mark 1 7, that's not showing all of the lengths that we measured. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first one. We have 1 7. Then the next one in our table is 5. We're going to go ahead and mark an X over 5. The next one in our table is 8. We'll go ahead and put an X over 8. The next one in our table is 9. We'll put an X over 9. And the last one in our table is another 7. Do you remember what to do when there's 2? You should put another X on top of the first X. Excellent. So now we have completed our line plot for lengths of yarn. Perfect job. Let's turn the page to 446. We will look at Step It Out Part 2. Use the line plot you made to answer the questions. You may need to turn back to take a look at your line plot. I have posted mine here so that we can take a look at it together. Let's look at Part A. How long was your longest piece of yarn? Well, the longest piece of yarn was 9. That was our longest. The longest measurement was 9. So we can go ahead and answer that here was 9 inches. Let's take a look at Part B. How many pieces of yarn were measured in all? So that means how many of those pieces did we record, or how many X's do we have? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We measured 5 pieces of yarn. So we're going to go ahead and write that in here. Nice job. Let's take a look at the check for understanding. Connor and Emily are measuring ribbons for a project. Measure the ribbons with an inch ruler. Record the lengths in inches. So you're going to need an inch ruler. You may need to pause to get that at this time and come back. Remember, you can always pause and try this whole thing on your own and come back to check your answer or follow along with me. So first thing I'm going to do is take my inch ruler and line it up with the line by the 0 and start there and go across to find that, that the purple ribbon is all the way across is 4 inches. So I'm going to write that in here, 4 inches for the purple ribbon. And then I'm going to take my inch ruler and I'm going to do the same thing for the orange. And when I start here, I line it up with the 0 line and go across, I find that it is 3 inches long. So I'm going to write 3 inches here. And then the same thing for my green or bright yellow ribbon here. I'm going to line it up with the end of the ribbon to the 0 line. I go over to find the end of the ribbon, and when I find the end of the ribbon, I find the number 4. So I'm going to write that in here. Now I can look at the next part, part 2, which asks us to label the line plot below with a title and numbers for the lengths. Draw an X on the line plot for each length. So let's look at the first part. First, we need to have a title for this line plot. What should the title be? If we go up to our table, we see that there already is a title right here, lengths of ribbons. So I am going to write lengths of ribbons for the title of my line plot right here. Great. Now I'm going to do the next instruction and write numbers for the lengths. So remember last time I looked at the numbers on my chart. I'm seeing there's 3 and 2 4s. So I'm going to start with the number 2 here, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going up by 1, starting with 2 and ending with 6. Now the last instruction asks me to draw an X on the line plot for each length. Okay, so I'm going to just start at the top of my chart here, and the first number was 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and draw an X on 4. Then I go to the next number, which is 3 inches, and I'm going to go ahead and draw an X on 3. And then I go to the next one, which is 4 again. And do you remember what we do when there's another number that already has an X? We're just going to make an X on top of the X that's on the line plot. So now I have completed my line plot for lengths of ribbons, and I have 1 X on 3 and 2 X's on 4. Great work. If you would like to go back and rewatch this video, you may do so, and you can pause at any time along the way as needed. Great job.